Botanic Land Trust, and we're here at Bridge Gardens, this wonderful, wonderful place. And what I'm going to do today is show you some of my favorite plants. And let's start with the Leaf Hydrangea. This is one of two native hydrangeas to North America. It's quercifolia, Hydrangea quercifolia. Unfortunately, for those of you who don't have deer fencing, the deer do like this, but it's a beautiful plant. Look at these wonderful leaves. These flowers will turn pinkish reddish and eventually brown, but they look great on the plant at all times of the year. There are dwarf varieties. These are really full-size ones, but there are dwarf varieties, so you can have this in your garden if you are protected from deer. Now we're looking at this lovely pink flower, which belongs to Hydrangea arborescens, which is the second native hydrangea to North America. The usual form is white and is called Annabelle and has huge white flowers, but this is a newer pink form, and I'm sure that we can show you it is covered with bumblebees. Now bumblebees are social bees. They live together, but they live in the ground. They're not honeybees, these are bumblebees. Now we're down at the herb garden and we're looking at borage with a beautiful blue flower. This is an herb and usually used in soups, things like that. It is not native, but it is a wonderful plant to grow, and it will spread in your garden, but very easy to control. So absolutely a must in any herb garden, I think. So right next to the borage and next to some dill, which is also another favorite, in calendula, we've got what are known as Egyptian walking onions. And what happens, this gets so heavy on top. These are the little things you eat. They're sort of like shallots. It falls to the ground and then starts a new plant. So that's why they're called walking onions. They actually walk around your garden. Too cool. Now we're talking about Echinacea, this beautiful pink coneflower. Aren't they lovely? Echinacea is really the poster child for the native plant movement. They've done so much wonderful breeding. You can get these plants in every shade of pink, red, orange, white. They are wonderful for pollinators. And one thing that I think is fascinating, if you look at the seed head, Echinacea, the root of that word in Greek means hedgehog. And if you touch this little seed head, you'll see why. Now we're looking at red currants, and one of my favorite things about Bridge Gardens is that Rick has incorporated a lot of edible plants in the landscape. And this is a plant, red currants are a plant that simply are not used enough in gardens. They're in full sun here, but they do very well in partial shade. The birds love them. Even if you don't want to share them, you will have so many that you'll feel it's fine. You can't possibly eat them all. So this is a wonderful garden plant. Again, there are smaller forms and they can be pruned. So a great garden plant. So as you'll see, the berries grow in racemes on long chains, and when you pick them, all you do is pick off the whole chain. And to make jam, currants have so much natural pectin, you don't need to use any pectin to make jam, and you can just put the whole string in the pot and cook it, and then strain it at the end, so you don't have to pick each little individual berry off the string. Now we're looking at Aronia melanocarpa, which is black chokeberry, and this is a cultivar called Viking. It's got huge shiny green leaves and clusters of berries that will turn black. It's called chokeberry for a reason. Humans don't really like it. It's very bitter, and even the birds, this is one of the berries that needs to freeze and thaw a number of times before the birds find it attractive. So the berries will stay on this for a long time. They won't all disappear. There are several different cultivars of this. In the native form, it's a wonderful plant to have in your garden. Now we're looking at an elderberry. And there are both European and American forms of the elderberry. This, I'm pretty sure, is a native American form, and it will produce little black berries. It's been used for all kinds of medicinal purposes. The birds love the berries. People make jelly, jam, wine out of the berries. They get fairly big, these plants, so you do need sort of a sizable place to have one, but they have beautiful foliage, which really adds a wonderful texture to your garden. Now we're looking at a blueberry, which, as you all know, is a native plant. Blueberries, by the way, are monoecious, and that means that the male and female parts are on the same plant, so you don't need to make sure to have a male in order for the blueberries to be pollinated. This is a great plant. Rick has just planted these fairly recently, so he's got them caged so the rabbits won't eat the new shoots. But actually, it's the birds that you have to be more careful about. The birds love blueberries, catbirds, robins, cardinals, even crows. We have crows eating our blueberries. So the point is to grow enough so you can share. These plants will turn, the leaves will turn a beautiful rusty red in the fall, so it has great, really four-season interest. Even in the winter, the growth structure is very architectural and very interesting. So absolutely have blueberries in your garden. You can purchase both low bush blueberries and high bush blueberries. So if you don't have enough space, go for the low bush. Great plant. This tree, this is a Cerces canadensis forest pansy. So it's a native tree, a native understory tree. This was planted by the owners who donated the garden to the Peconic Land Trust, and it has done so beautifully here. It is just gorgeous. These small trees, I don't think you get used enough in gardens. Understory trees are just a delight to have in your garden. In the spring, of course, this gets little pink flowers along the bare branches before the leaves come out. So absolutely stunning. Another small tree that will do extremely well in most gardens is a pawpaw. And pawpaws produce the largest edible fruit in America. Who knew? It is a native to the Northeast and Canada. It grows very well in our acidic soil. It produces a very funny little dark purple flower in the early spring, and pawpaws are pollinated by flies or beetles, not by bees. So a very interesting tree. The fruit of the pawpaw is very easily bruised, so if you want to eat them, you literally have to come figure out when it's ripe enough to pick off the tree, not let it drop or it will bruise. I have pawpaws behind my barn. It does very well in shade, but to be honest, we've never had a fruit that we could eat. In the herb garden, and these are, the common name is globe thistle. They're Echinacea, and they will turn this beautiful steely blue color. They do spread, but it's very easy to pull out the seedlings if you don't want them. So it's a very unusual plant, and the color, as these turn blue, will absolutely knock you off your socks. Now we're looking at an ilex for Tessalata, which is a native winter berry. And ilex are dioecious, which means that you have to have both male and female plants in order to produce berries. These are the female plants. Usually you can have one male tucked away somewhere, and within 20-30 feet, that's plenty to for a whole number of females. I don't mean to be sexist, but these are wonderful plants. The birds in the fall really depend on them for migration, and you can get them with red berries, yellow berries, orange berries, and there are dwarf forms. So again, these are so healthy, they're huge, but there are smaller forms available for the home garden. And here we have a Japanese beetle. What we're looking at here is the red Monarda or bee balm. This is a wonderful native plant, comes in every color imaginable and almost every size imaginable. It is prone to mildew, but there are so many varieties now that are mildew resistant that you can be sure to find something that will work for you. But it's a wonderful plant to have. I think that pink back there is the Philopendula. See this tall pink? This is a Philopendula. It's really a native prairie plant. It's beautiful in gardens because it rises above everything else. It's very airy, but the flowers and the color, I think, are absolutely lovely. We're looking at Virginia sweet pie spire, which is in this form is called Henry's Garnet. And it's a wonderful native shrub. The leaves in the fall will turn mahogany color, and it's absolutely beautiful. This one is very healthy, but usually they stay quite small, and you can prune them. Soon these flowers will disappear, but right now it's looking very nice. We are at the garden entrance, and these are yuccas, and despite what you might think, these are native to Long Island, and they're absolutely gorgeous. This bed is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm pretty sure these are the original yuccas that were planted by the people who created this garden. They had them mulched with actually coal, which was stunning. Now they're mulched with more usual mulch, but they're a wonderful plant. They shoot up one flower stalk for each plant, and then after it finishes blooming, you can just cut this off, and the foliage remains lovely all year round. A beautiful green-blue color. Yuccas. So I have to tell you about the bayberry. These are incredibly healthy, but bayberry is a wonderful native plant. You'll see the little green berries along the stems. Those will develop a waxy coating, and this is what the early settlers used to make candles out of, and it's still used to scent many products. And best of all, it is a fruit that is eaten in the fall by yellow-rumped warblers. They're also known, their earlier name was myrtle warblers. This is also called a myrtle bush, but just an absolutely incredible plant. Does well without any watering, drought resistant, a native. I feel so strongly that gardens need to represent a sense of place, and this is one of the plants that tells you you're near the water, you're near the ocean. So I urge you to grow bayberry.